points are gained or points are lost, there will be much to discuss. For analysis regarding tonight's Winnipeg Jets game, here are Dave Manouk, Ezra Ginsburg, and your host, Drew Mandel. The Illegal Curve post-game show starts now.
Good morning, Winnipeg. Good morning, Manitoba. For all those joining us live this morning on our YouTube channel and all of our social media platforms, we say good morning, universe, and welcome to the Illegal Curve post-game show. With Dave Manouk, with Ezra Ginsburg, I'm your host, Drew Mandel, here in the wee hours as the clock is on to Friday morning, here to talk about the Winnipeg Jets' unexpected highway robbery-esque 6-4 victory over the Los Angeles Kings. An absolute Connor Hellebuck highway robbery. Give him all the credit. This game was wild and wacky, high event hockey, and the Jets are somehow leaving Southern California with 2 points in their pocket. Gentlemen, good to see you both on this, as I mentioned, what is now Friday morning, as we talk about what certainly was not a dull game, was not a low event, typical perfect road game for the Winnipeg Jets, but whatever it was 2 points at the end of the night.
Absolutely. Connor Hellebuck, as you mentioned, Drew, deserves a ton of credit for the way he played. How many times do you let in 4 goals and, you're arguably the first star of the game, right? And, as I was preparing to watch this game, kind of reading about the Kings and looking at their stats, like what stands out to you is how terrible the goaltending has been, right? Jonathan Quick has played the majority of the games. Cal Peterson hasn't been very good either. But I think you saw tonight why Jonathan Quick has been struggling so much. Like at times, look at, and I'm not taking anything away from the way the Jets finished this game, because like right until the end, Scheifele draws the penalty on Brendan Lemieux. I was actually thinking, Dave, that might be something that the NHL looks at for a suspension or a fine. Like that was a dirty play and the type of penalty that I'm sure Todd McClellan just absolutely hates, especially considering that, the Kings, still had a chance to tie the game up, right? But Hellebuck was amazing, but Jonathan Quick, what was it, 4 goals on the first 14 shots, something like that. The Jets, the Adam Lowry goal to me is that quote unquote TSN turning point, right? And Dylan DeMello, almost had a goal to tie the game up, at the end of the first period. I think there was only about 15 or 20 seconds left there, but he shot it way wide. And also, did Dylan DeMello have a breakaway in this game, by the way? That was the type of game it was, right, guys? Like, it was just absolute, Looney Tunes out there at certain points. The shots were 16-1 for the Kings in the first period. The Jets were getting badly outplayed for parts of that third period as well. Like, on the deservometer, it was clearly in the Kings' favor here. But, as they say, the Jets stuck with it. And, they grinded out at 2 points. And you almost wonder, knowing that you were only down a goal and you played so poorly in the first period, you wonder if all those guys in the room and the coaching staff was just saying, guys, we're lucky that this isn't like a 5-1 game or something like this. And then they obviously had a much better second period and took the lead into the third period. So yeah, it was ugly at times and they didn't play very well defensively. We can get into the goals as soon as you want here, Drew, in the Betway game recap. But yeah, it was sloppy, but that's one of those games, Dave, that I think you just, take the 2 points knowing that you have the game tomorrow at Mullet Square Garden, and, you just take it all day long.
Mullet Square Garden. Did you come up with that on your own, or did you steal that
Craig
from somebody?
Button said that during the first
Drew, come on.
Oh, okay.
I've got some breaking news though, boys. The Jets actually lost the game.
CTV declared
Illegal Curve is declaring that the Jets actually lost the game.
Yeah. I was waiting for somebody to make that joke at CTV's expense.
Come on. We had to do a little Winnipeg politics. Wouldn't be doing our civic duties if we didn't bring that into today's conversation. 200 people in the chat. We're ready to go. We're ready to roll with everybody going right now because folks are excited. Look, the Jets are 4-3-0. They've won 2 games in a row. It wasn't exactly the blueprint. Everybody talked about it. Isn't it funny how every article, everybody was talking? If the Jets can simply channel what they were able to do against the St. Louis Blues, then this shouldn't be an issue. And look, it's funny because the Kings weren't exactly, lighting it up. They were a 500 team, just like the Jets, except they were 4-4 instead of 3-3. But they weren't exactly lighting it up, and yet they were the favorites coming into today's game. And everyone said, if the Jets can do this, the concern, of course, was what were the Kings, going to be able to do in the neutral zone to really frustrate the Jets. And it wasn't really the neutral zone that was a problem for Winnipeg, but it was their breakouts. It was their like the zone exits were awful. Like they were just, the passing was atrocious this game, just awful, especially that first period. And really, they did what they showed was that they weren't going to bring what they did against the St. Louis Blues into the first, at least into the first period, and as he said, into the second as well, because it was all. I mean, despite the fact that Mark Scheifele scored, and I'll let you intro the scoring recap. It was all LA to start. It was all LA for the majority of that. The only time the Jets actually looked good was when they were shorthanded. So it was definitely not the template that they talked about. And look, we always talk sample size. What the Jets were able to do in one game, you need to replicate that game after game after game, and show that consistency. And if you do that, then you can talk about it. But after one game, it's like, well, if that's the new blueprint, it's like, well, why is that the new blueprint? But the shitty 4-1 loss against the Maple Leafs, why is that not their blueprint? Like, what is the standard? It's obviously we don't know it, so they're gonna have to figure it out. You know what the standard, Ezzy, though, is pretty clear. Connor Hellebuck is gonna be wearing that leather jacket after every single one of these stupid post games.
It's, he was certainly the difference for the Winnipeg Jets in tonight's game. And as you said, Ezzy, how often does the goalie who gives up 4 goals end up really being the difference maker in a contest? But that just speaks to how good he was for the Winnipeg Jets in tonight's game. Just a wild game. I mean, you look at the 5-on-5 expected goals, and this is before we get into the Betway game recap. We'll get into it momentarily. Expected goals at 5-on-5 in tonight's game, 3.14 for the Los Angeles Kings. For the Winnipeg Jets, 1.11. So there absolutely was a highway.
So you're saying that's not good, Drew?
I'm saying that's not great. That's typically
and it was,
not
and
a
by the way,
recipe
Drew,
for
that
success.
actually got better because it was even more abysmal earlier in the game.
Yeah, exactly right. It was even more abysmal earlier in the game, and that's an improvement over the first 40 minutes of the game, where it was even more one-sided. Just an absolutely wild game in Los Angeles tonight. So let's get into it. The Betway game recap is brought to you by Betway, title sponsor of the Illegal Curve post-game show, and one of the most trusted voices in sports betting, both in Canada and all around the world. Betway is the sports betting app that puts you, the customer, at the forefront. With a large selections of betting options and sports, as well as strong promotions and fair odds, what are you waiting for? Head on over to Betway and bet your way. Must be 19 years or older to play. Please play responsibly. You sort of got the impression that this was going to be a weird one when the Jets opened the scoring. And it came at the 5:03 mark of the first period, because this is a Jets team that didn't have a shot on goal prior to getting their first goal of the game on their first shot. It's Mark Scheifele on a breakaway after making a very a quality defensive play in his own zone that he then takes up the ice. So you knew things were going to be a little weird. The Kings started the game by absolutely dominating the Winnipeg Jets. They had control through the first 5 minutes, yet the Jets opened the scoring, like I said, at the 5:03 mark with Mark Scheifele there.
Yeah, you mentioned, it starts with the turnover at the Jets blue line. And I don't think I've ever seen, Mark Scheifele make a goal look easier. And again, I don't mean to harp on Jonathan Quick. I'm sure we're going to talk about, Quick, quite a bit throughout the course of the post-game show. But Dave, he looked like a goaltender, like the classic kind of too far back in his net, just not confident. Scheifele just, saw that top corner all day long. But you're right, Drew. I mean, up until that point, the first 4 or 5 minutes, and we'll get into this, I'm sure, later as well. But I mean, the Kings are a fast, hard forechecking team, and that's what we saw, in the first period and throughout the game. But especially in that first period when they were all over the Jets, we mentioned the shots were 16-1. This was very 2021-22 Jets, right, guys? When the Jets were just going 9-10 minutes without a shot on net, but. Yeah, this was just a beauty breakaway goal by Scheif, his 5th of the year. He had a really strong game. We talked about late in the third period there, drew the penalty on Brendan Lemieux, but for all the criticism of Scheifele defensively, I mean, this was a nice turnover, a self-created goal, if you will.
Look, if you tell me that Mark Scheifele is going to make a strong defensive play, and then it's going to lead up ice, and he's going to end up getting a goal on it, or one of his line mates is going to get a goal on it, or the Jets are going to get a goal on it, you'd say you'd just be impressed that it starts with a good defensive play, Dave, and that's absolutely what happens here by Mark Scheifele.
Yeah, no, and one of the things people have harped on now for the entire season, or I should say the preseason, was the idea that you're going to need Mark Scheifele not just to score goals, because we know he can score, as he loves to do, crunch those numbers. Mark Scheifele's on pace for 60 goals this season. So, I mean, you don't have to worry about Mark Scheifele scoring. It's more about Mark Scheifele being able to keep the puck out of the back of the net, and give his line some assistance in that regard. So you love to see it. That's what you really want to see, is Mark Scheifele playing, I'm going to use the ultimate cliche, a full 200-foot game. Mm-hmm. And if you can get that from the top center on this team, because make no mistake of it, Pierre-Luc Dubois is a good player. Mark Scheifele is still the top center. And so you need Mark Scheifele. If you want to be a playoff team, if you want to be a contending team, Mark Scheifele is going to be the second most important player after, of course, Connor Hellebuyck. I think Connor Hellebuyck will undoubtedly be your first most important player without question on this Jets club for years to come. And especially this year, and especially last year and the year before and the year before. But anyways, the point is that you like to see Mark Scheifele doing that, because it's one thing to just talk the talk and say, oh yeah, no, I want to do this. I want to do that. He actually is putting it into effect. And that is a huge thing for a Jets club that needs to see Mark Scheifele playing, not just at the offensive zone, which is where we know he is he's very dangerous. But you want to be able to see him play defensively and make those proper reads and those proper, reactions in order to help his team out.
And Drew, I know you want to get into the Kings goals. I was just going to say here, like, this reminds you, Dave, a lot of the 2017 to 2019 Jets when they were outshot. Hellebuyck plays unbelievably, and not only unbelievably, like, this is the second game in a row coming off of the shutout against St. Louis, and you just take your opportunities and you bury them, right? And there was no better example than the first goal or Lowry's goal. I mean, look at, like, there's no way you can sugarcoat the shots, even though TSN didn't have the shots up, which was completely just, annoying me when they don't have the shots up for the whole game, right? Especially in a game in which the Jets are really getting badly outshot. So you're absolutely right. Hellebuyck was great. Scheifele was really good defensively. And, that line continues to drive the bus. If you would have told me that, the Jets would beat the Kings 6-4 on the road and Kyle Connor wouldn't have, a goal, even though he obviously got the assist on the Pierre-Luc Dubois power play goal. I mean, I think most people would, not believe you. I thought this was, I was expecting Connor to score his first goal. I thought this was the perfect opportunity, but we know there's going to be lots of opportunities tomorrow at MSG.
You're right about that. Arthur Kaliev ties the game for the LA Kings at the 9:47 mark. This comes on the power play. Trevor Moore and Sean Dursey get the assists on this goal. Kaliev's second of the season, and you can't give up that many opportunities without eventually getting bit by them. And the Jets learned that with this goal. Like I said, with the man advantage by the Kings.
Yeah, I mean, on this particular goal, you had a couple of players run into each other. Brendan Dillon stepped up, and I thought he was way, way too high, considering that, Kaliev, by the time that he had stepped up on, I believe it was Trevor Moore. Trevor Moore is a really good player. I remember talking about him last year when the Jets and Kings played on the post-game show. This is a guy that was undrafted from California. Dave would remember he was a really good player in the AHL for the Toronto Marlies. Played a little bit with the Leafs. He had his breakout year last year. I don't forget. I don't remember his exact numbers. I want to say he had like 50 points, pardon me, something like that. 15 goals, 16 goals, something like that. But on this particular case, Trevor Moore brings the puck in with speed, and Brendan Dillon steps up. And I'm just watching the replay here. It was Mason Appleton and Brendan Dillon that collided. And then obviously Arthur Kaliev just, steps right in, and, he's got way too much room, Dave. And it's just a really nice shot. He's a sniper, right? Going back to his OHL days. I think he was a 2019 draft, wasn't he? The Heinola year, if I'm not mistaken. I remember he was talked about on the IC Hockey Show as a potential option for the Jets in that 2019 draft. I'd have to go back and look. But that was just, two guys collide. Just not very good defensive coverage there.
Yeah, I would agree exactly with what you said there. Just the Jets were a little, especially when you're shorthanded, you want better structure in your shorthanded approach at that point in time. But Appleton and Dillon, on the strength of a good play by Moore, he almost like brings them together and then squeezes through them as they sort of hit each other and collide at the blue line. Dave,
I got so mad I turned on my Tough Duck tube.
I was going to say you're out of here.
That was such a tough comment by you, Drew, that I was going to award you a Tough Duck Toque.
Thank you. So we'll award it to one of our viewers instead of giving it to me.
Something tells me it may be a CTV related comment because there's a lot of folks are dropping some good ones in the chat tonight, and we had a lot of fun with it last night watching the municipal elections here in Winnipeg. So it was quite something, of course, and. That's the beauty of the internet. As much as it can be annoying sometimes, it's kind of fun when people get going and have a little fun at the expense of a big corporation like good old Bell Media.
Yeah, Blake Lizotte makes it 2-1 for the Los Angeles Kings. This comes a minute and 6 seconds after they tied the game. It's his second of the year. Assist to Grunstrom and former Winnipeg Jets forward, of course, Brendan Lemieux, who seems like he's found a solid home in Los Angeles after bouncing around from, well, obviously drafted by Buffalo, coming to Winnipeg.
I honestly forgot he was on the Kings, to be honest with you, Drew. I'm not joking. I mean, look,
he hasn't been traded in a little while.
He picked up an assist, but like you know what? I mean, even though his dad is one of my favorite players of all time, he's an NHL agent now, of course. Conn Smythe winner back in '95. Yeah. But I mean, the type of stuff. What is he? 26, 27 years old now. Like he's not a kid. He's an NHL veteran at this point, and he's still doing that BS at the end of the game on Scheifele. So yeah, he picks up an assist on the Kings' second goal, but I mean, he's still doing that stuff that was one of the reasons why the Jets I think gave up on him, because he has the ability to produce offense and to drop the gloves and play physical and all that, but he just takes stupid penalties, and to me that's inexcusable late in the third period.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's the discipline has always been an issue for him. You're absolutely right, Ezzy, and he, eventually, you want him. He succeeds by playing on the edge, but he still hasn't been able to harness when you can't go over that edge. And this is another instance in tonight's game when he went over that edge and led to obviously the empty net goal by Blake Wheeler while the Jets were on the power play there. But before that, this goal, this gives the Kings the 2-1 lead. As I said, Blake Lizotte his second, and it's really just more of it's a jam play. It's a bit of a scramble play, and he beats Connor Hellebuyck short side.
Yeah, sorry, I went on a bit of a Brendan Lemieux rant there, but this fourth line is a good fourth line, guys. Like the Jets' fourth line was really good tonight as well. But I thought Dylan Sandberg, Dave really struggled in that first period. And obviously, it's not the best situation to come in. But on this play, Dylan Sandberg just, he seemed a little bit lost out there. And I believe he was on the ice for one more goal in the first period, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, on this particular play, it was just, a lot of hustle from the fourth line. The Jets were standing around a little bit. And Blake Lizotte just comes in with speed right up the middle. And just kind of jams the play, past Hellebuyck, as you mentioned. So this is really just a credit to the Kings' fourth line, just really working hard and earning that goal.
And Eddie, the one thing I was going to jump in there is one of the things we're seeing with the Jets is that they were just static. They weren't moving their feet. They were standing around watching. And as soon as you're doing that, well, you're in trouble and you're on your heels or you're not moving at all. And, I think that inaction was really evident on the Kings' goals, and the Kings really, it was almost like the Jets weren't ready to handle the Kings' momentum, even though the Kings really had the momentum from the start of the game. So the Jets kind of looked a little starstruck, and maybe it's being in Hollywood. I don't know what it is, but they weren't able to quite handle what was going on with the Kings. And Connor Hellebuyck was really holding them in the game, but even there's limits to how well he can play as well.
And I just wanted to mention too, on this goal, Cole Perfetti takes a little bit of a swipe at it and misses.
It bounced over his stick.
Yeah, it bounced over his stick, but that's one of those kind of plays where you just got to be kind of tougher, harder on the puck, as the cliche goes. So it's a whiff for Perfetti. And again, not picking on him, because I actually thought, he got better as the game progressed. Mm-hmm. And I think he definitely, his, found himself a role on that line with Dubois and Wheeler. But, that was another play where, situational awareness, right? Like you can't, whiff at a puck like that because obviously Lizotte, even though he's not a guy that you expect to score 30 goals or anything like that, they were buzzing, and he took advantage.
We say good morning to everyone as the clock strikes 12:30. You are watching the Illegal Curve post-game show, brought to you by our friends at Betway. We're going through goal by goal tonight's effort from the Winnipeg Jets, ultimately resulting in a 6-4 victory. Alongside Dave Minuk and Ezra Ginsburg, I'm your host, Drew Mindell. Remember, stay tuned. Don't go anywhere. You're going to give out the unique code word where you can enter it in to win some great merchandise after that coming up a little bit later on.
Now, Drew, I don't want to give it away, but there's a few people,
yes,
like Frosty, Kenny, Ice, a bunch of people have already guessed tonight's unique code word. I'm still not going to tell you. Yeah. I wouldn't let Kenny do it during the intermissions, but some people have already guessed what tonight's unique code word is.
And if you're wondering where to enter in the unique code word in order to enter the contest to win the great merchandise, it's in our show description. So at the bottom of your screen, if you're on a computer or maybe you're watching on TV, there's a show description that's got a link to the Illegal Curve contest. Just click the link. If you can't find it there, go to our website, illegalcurve.com. You click in there in the morning papers. The second note is got a link to it that also tells you how to enter in the unique word and all the other things you can do to enter the Illegal Curve merchandise contest. So that's how you enter the contest. It is at this point in time, it's 2-1 for the LA Kings. Still more scoring to come in the first period. There was certainly a high event game. The Kings make it 3-1 at the 14:33 mark, and you're thinking, is this reminiscent of what happened in Vegas, where it's almost over at the end of 20 minutes? Gabe Vilardi gets his 6th of the year assist to Kevin Fiala and at this point in time, the Jets have been absolutely dominated the entire first period, and the LA Kings have a very deserving, after this goal, 3-1 lead, but there's still time left in the first period.
Yeah, I just had to go back and watch the replay there. It was Dylan Sandberg that coughed up the puck there. Andrzej Kopitar put it through his legs, and that was just a flat-out giveaway to Gabe Vilardi. So, that was a couple of bad shifts for Dylan Sandberg. But again, I mean, he's missed the time with an injury. The Kings were playing very well. Doesn't mean that, Dylan Sandberg is going to come out of the lineup or anything like that. But that's just, Gabe Vilardi, look, he's got 6 goals now. Like, he's been a prospect that's taken a while to develop. I think he was, 10th or 11th overall back in that 2017 draft, the year the Jets took Vesalainen. And he's really coming into his own, playing in the Kings top 6. But that's just a bad giveaway. It's a free pizza. I don't know what else to say about that one.
Yeah, you're right. It's a bad giveaway, and it's 3-1 for the LA Kings. The Jets have been absolutely dominated, as we've touched on in that entire first period, but they get life. And they get life late in the first period with 1 minute and 52 seconds to go in the first period. Adam Lowry, shorthanded goal machine, with the assist to David Gustafsson and Dylan DeMello. And this is just a really solid play by the Jets shorthanded crew here. David Gustafsson with a nice feed to Adam Lowry. And, Adam Lowry is a guy who oftentimes you sort of think doesn't have the softest hands in the world. And he sometimes has missed on some golden opportunities. But whatever, this was not one of them. And he's in tight on Jonathan Quick, and he's able to sort of slide it, it appears, through the wickets to give the Jets life 3-2 at the end of 20 minutes, a 20-minute period that the Jets have absolutely been dominated, and they're fortunate to be only down by a goal.
Yeah, and that goal was massive. As significant as the play of Connor Hellebuyck was, keeping the Jets in that period, that goal gave them life to that they didn't deserve, to be within a goal going into the second period, allowing the game to be, it changed the whole tenor of the game. Because if you think about it, not only did Adam Lowry score in the shorthanded opportunity, but then subsequent to that, they had a number of chances. Dylan DeMello is he's looking skyward, still trying to figure out how he missed that wide open net. So Dylan DeMello had a chance shorthanded. Pierre-Luc Dubois had a breakaway chance shorthanded. So the Jets had, in addition to the one goal that they scored shorthanded from Adam Lowry, they had a number of chances in that first period to actually leave after 20 minutes tied up. And, look, it's critical, right? It's one thing we've talked about quite a bit forever, is that when you have guys in the AHL playing a certain role, It makes no sense to bring him to the NHL and not play them in that same role. And David Gustafsson is a clear example of a guy who should be playing on the penalty kill. It's one of his. He's a defensive specialist. He's an excellent, responsible. I hesitate to call him a young man, but he's relatively speaking a young man. He knows how to play on that in a defensively responsible 200-foot game. So, we talked about it. He played for the Moose. He did PK. He did everything for the Moose because he was a top line guy there for the Moose. But the point is, you want to put him in that role. He's got the head. He's got the hands. He's got the ability to play that position. And look what he does. As he says, nice soft pass to Adam Lowry, who puts it home. And, the nice thing for Adam Lowry, I mean, it just goes to show you, right? We saw him score how many goals shorthanded last year. He's now up to 8 in his career, which moved him 1 ahead of Brian Little. They were tied with 7, and now he's just trailing Blake Wheeler, who has 11 in his career for the organization. So now Adam Lowry is just trailing Blake Wheeler, but huge goal. I mean, just a huge, massive marker for the Winnipeg Jets to give
also
them
life. 7 or 8 seconds into the power play.
Right. It was early.
The power play, that was off the face-off, right? So, yeah. And that pass, Dave, I mean, you have to really watch it. I just watched it again. What was, I think, so brilliant about that pass is he saw how open Lowry was going to be if he put the puck on his stick exactly when he put the puck on his stick. So it wasn't like it was between the legs or a backhand, no-look pass or anything like that. Just a really smart pass. I mean, I don't have to tell you, Dave, how smart of a player Gustafsson is. You've watched him way more than most people, in this city or anywhere. So Gustafsson deserves a lot of credit for doing the heavy lifting on that goal.
Yeah, absolutely. But a huge boost to the Winnipeg Jets to only be down 1 goal after a 20 minutes where your game has not resembled anything similar to what you want it to look like. Where really, if it was 3-1, you would say you're probably fortunate to only be down 2 goals. Never mind that. Now you're only down 1 goal after 20 minutes. And then the second period, not a lot happens in the second period in terms of on the score sheet until the last few minutes of it. And the Jets tie the game on the power play. Pierre-Luc Dubois gets his 3rd of the year, assist to Kyle Connor and Josh Morrissey. And this is an instance where, the defense, this being the Kings defense, has to respect Kyle Connor's shot. And so they take away his time and space, and he niftily passes it to Pierre-Luc Dubois. And, Dubois, with that much room, well, he's still a pretty damn good goal scorer in this league as well. And he makes no mistake beating Jonathan Quick to tie the game up at 3-3 at the 16:04 mark of the second period.
Yeah, it was after Alex Edler took the tripping penalty. And, I don't mean to pick on Alex Edler because, it was mentioned on the broadcast. He's got almost all of, the records for Canucks defensemen. But, I mean, he looked awful tonight. And he has not been good, this year. He's a guy that I think, he's a third pairing defenseman. And, if you are like me and you like to look at ice time, check out Drew Doughty's ice time over the last few games. He's playing 28 minutes, 30 minutes. You don't want that. And I think that, shows you how little they really trust that third pair, specifically Alex Edler right now, right? Brant Clark's a 19-year-old first-round pick who I thought looked really impressive, but I'm not sure if he's going to stick with the Kings. But, yeah, you're absolutely right, Drew. And we saw this goal how many times last year, right? It's a set play, Dubois likes to do that where he gets the puck around the goal line and go backhand to forehand, and give Connor a lot of credit because everybody knows, and you just mentioned this, Drew. Everybody knows how prolific a goal scorer Connor is, and he used that to his advantage here and made a really nice pass. And what I like especially about this power play and the power play in general is you're seeing more movement, and you're seeing, I think, the Jets take advantage of their skating and their skill. And you're not seeing, just the Jets going for that cross seam pass like we saw how many times Wheeler to Lion A or Wheeler to Scheifele. So I like the movement, and I really like the decision making there from Connor to Dubois. Unfortunately, Dubois also gave up a free pizza on the next Kings goal, which we'll get into, but that was a nice goal.
Yeah.
And Ezzy, I just want to say, just to add on to your point about Kyle Connor, because it's often forgotten. I mean, as good a goal scorer as he is, he's a phenomenal passer, right? He has 179. Well, he is. He's even Steven, right? He's
107 and 46, right?
Yeah, but even his career, 179 goals for, 169 assists. I mean, it's quite remarkable how everybody's he's such a pure goal scorer, and he is. But he's also a lethal passer, and so his he's just a phenomenal facilitator in addition to his ability to score.
Yeah, you're exactly right, Dave. Nate Schmidt gives the Jets the lead. Hard to believe that you're saying that after the first period and most.
And they were playing Mambo number 5 at Crypto.com Arena, Drew.
Exactly, Mambo number 5. Nate Schmidt gets his first of the year, assist to Adam Lowry and Morgan Barron, as comes at the 18:55 mark of the second period. So
you just yada over the Trevor Moore goal, though, Drew.
No, I didn't, Dave. This is the goal that gives the Jets.
Trevor Moore goals in the third, Dave.
Yeah, this is the 4-3 goal for the Jets.
Sorry, I got it over the Nate Schmidt goal.
Yeah, don't rush me. I know what I'm doing here, believe it or not. I know sometimes it's hard to believe, but good things happen when you put the puck on net, and that's exactly what you see here from Nate Schmidt. So a bit of a seeing eye shot with a lot of traffic in front, and as you saw in the broadcast when he talked about it in the second intermission, he said, look, my goal was to get it through the first wave of shot blockers, and once he did that, there was tons of traffic, and it's hard for Jonathan Quick to pick up that puck. And I mean, it was hard for Jonathan Quick to pick up most pucks in tonight's game. And this is another one that all of a sudden the Jets have a 4-3 lead after 40 minutes, thanks to Nate Schmidt on this goal.
Yeah, and you know what? We haven't talked about Morgan Barron, I don't think yet. But Lowry and Barron do a great job of cycling, right? Like, this is old school hockey. Lowry and Barron working the puck along the boards, getting the puck back to Nate Schmidt, traffic in front. And that's kind of more of that playoff style goal that you see, right? Like, just put 3 or 4 players in front of the net. And you got to love that, Schmidt scores this goal because he's obviously one of the most popular guys on the team. And not just because of that, because he's a guy that, you want to get going offensively. We've already seen Neil Pionk absolutely rip it up, through the first 6 or 7 games. So it's nice to see Schmidt get rewarded here, even though it's one of those goals, that you would say, isn't a highlight reel goal. It's a huge goal, right? Like, speaking of the Adam Lowry goal being huge and, cutting the deficit to 1 as opposed to going down 2, when you easily could have been down 3 or 4 goals in that first period. It's a huge psychological boost, Dave, to be up a goal, going into the third period when you probably don't have any reason to be up in this game at all.
You're right, and it's interesting. That's what makes it so interesting. Trevor Moore ties it as Dave tried to skip over, tried to rush me a little bit. That's okay.
You tried
Dave.
To go back to the future there.
Yeah, I'll forgive you. Trevor Moore at the 4:45 mark of the third period gets his first of the year, assist to Philip Deneau. Deneau's first assist of the season as well, and Trevor Moore just it's a pickpocket. Pierre-Luc Dubois thinks he's going to have a clean zone exit. Well, clean zone exits weren't a thing the Jets really had a lot of in tonight's game. This one, he gets his pocket picked, and Moore puts it behind Connor Hellebuyck to tie the game at 4-4. And you're wondering what impact of this goal. So the Jets had the lead, they lose the lead. It's 4-4. Are they going to sag? Are the Kings going to find that next goal in order to give themselves a more deserving victory than the Jets would have? But obviously we'll get to what happened now, as you all know that you're joining us here. But this is just a nice play by Moore, but the Jets have to be a little bit more puck aware, I would say, given the circumstances than they were in this situation, Pierre-Luc Dubois in particular.
And Blake Wheeler also. Blake Wheeler in the neutral zone.
Got to support him better.
Well, and also had the puck, and he made a mistake in the neutral zone, which ultimately has them going the wrong way. And so, as soon as Pierre-Luc Dubois has possession of that puck, he's got to be able to get it out of the zone. And it's interesting to watch all the guys flying out of the zone without a puck. It's not going to really help. It seems to be pretty basic that there's not much point leaving the zone if you do not have possession of said puck. So you're right. He gets his pocket picked, and Trevor Moore scores that goal to tie. It didn't feel like a backbreaker. It did lead to a certain period of time where there was, a lot of people I saw, like I was in the chat, during the intermission, chatting with some folks. Shout out to the chat. But the point is that we were discussing, whether it felt like it was going to go to overtime. Didn't quite feel like that. Like as we all know, we've seen a lot of Jets games where that third period, it's a tie game, and there's like 10 minutes to go, and you just feel that both teams are playing for overtime. Both teams are okay to get to overtime in this one. This didn't have that same feel. It still felt like there was still a little bit of a juice, a little bit of jump left in that game.
It had a Jets Flyers from 2011 feel.
Well, it's funny, Ezzy. It's 11-year anniversary of that game where they, the Jets won 9-8 on courtesy of then captain Andrew Ladd's goal.
Only 7 goals away.
Yeah, exactly. But no, I mean, it did. There was a lot of chaos to tonight's game. So it was interesting, but you didn't really see the Jets kind of like, obviously they sagged, you could see the body language as they filed onto the bench from Pierre-Luc Dubois, Blake Wheeler and company. But, like I said, the one thing that, as he touched on it a little bit, the one thing we really have to talk about, though, is the play of the third and fourth lines, because I thought throughout the game, and again, if that's an element, this Jet team, remember, no Nikolai Ehlers right now, but if that's one of the things that this Jets team is finding themselves, is a third and fourth line. Now, again, this game is, as has been pointed out, was not a Picasso, and if it wasn't for Connor Hellebuck, was long over after that first period. But the truth is that, one of the things you need is depth scoring, and that seems to be a benefit from tonight's game, at least, was the third and fourth lines.
You're absolutely right, and it's important to highlight them because they certainly had a tremendous impact on the game. In fact, they scored the game-winning goal, or a member of the third and fourth line scored a game-winning goal. That's Axel Jonsson-Fjallby, that coming at the 14:23 mark of the third period, assist to Brendan Dillon. And this is just like you said, they the bottom six for the Winnipeg Jets were tremendously effective in tonight's game. They were hardworking, they were noticeable, and another game where they get rewarded. We saw it in that first game. Sam Gagner, if you think back about the impact he's had on this team so far this season. Well, this is another guy that the Jets pluck off the waiver wire from the Washington Capitals, and when they claimed him off waivers, I admit I said who. I don't think anybody really knew much about him. He gets his first as a member of the Winnipeg Jets. He won't forget it anytime soon. It's a game-winning goal.
GWG, baby.
GWG, and the Jets have a 5-4 lead with a little more than 5.5 minutes to go in this third period, Desi.
So I was sitting in the office at Hockey Manitoba, knowing that we were going to be doing the post-game show tonight, and I was just brainstorming, this line, and Nordic line, Viking line, NATO line. I might be too political to call it the NATO line, but call it whatever you want to call it. You've got two Swedes and a Finn on this line, which is pretty cool. And again, I got to give Dave tons of credit here. I feel like anytime I talk about David Gustafsson, the Gus Bus, I don't even know if we have to say his full name, but I feel like Dave really should be the one that takes over here. So I'll let you take over, Dave, but it's such good work by the Gus Bus, taking the puck from Brendan Lemieux, doing that dirty work along the boards, getting the puck back to Brendan Dillon. So to me, Gustafsson, maybe his best game as a Winnipeg Jet, to be honest with you. But fourth line comes through. Nice tip by Jonsson-Fjallby. But again, just great work by David Gustafsson to make this play happen.
Well, and I think it's just one thing we're seeing with David Gustafsson is his comfort. You can see, now that he's been able to play some games, not have his season, 2 games, first shift of 2 games and first periods, I should say, of 2 games, and be done with basically his season in the NHL. Instead, being able to show that he's an established NHLer, and obviously with his waiver status, he wouldn't have been sent down anyways. But the fact is, it's just gaining confidence for him and, giving him more of a role, right? That's one of the things that, Paul Maurice used to talk about, and a lot of veteran coaches will talk about that. You have to be able to do something. You can't just play 5-on-5. You have to be able to have a role in addition. And like I said earlier, one of the things we know David Gustafsson is more than capable of doing is playing on the penalty kill. And that will just give him a lot of confidence, if, the penalty kill is able to be successful. So yeah, no, I agree. As you're just seeing more and more confidence from David Gustafsson. And a lot of people were kind of saying earlier, we're only into game 7, right? But a lot of people early on were saying, well, you're not seeing much from him. I'm like, well, that's not necessarily a bad thing. When you're not necessarily noticing a guy, don't expect him to rip it up. He's not having hat-trick games here and, 4 assist nights there. You just wanted to see consistency from David Gustafsson. And if you're getting that, that's, and his line is holding and he's contributing on the PK, that's a real positive. And like you just said, if he can contribute to a game-winning goal, that's massive for the Jets organization.
Think about the 2 goals that he contributed to, Dave, right? Like the second goal, which, gave the Jets a ton of life. Lowry's goal, shorthanded goal we talked about earlier, and the game-winning goal by Jonsson-Fjallby, right? So, to me, I like, if we're giving out stars, Hellebuck 1, Gus Bus 2, baby.
Yeah, he certainly was well deserving of it. I'll have to check.
Jonsson-Fjallby will get number 3.
I'll check the score sheet after if he actually did get a star in tonight's game, but he certainly had a tremendous impact on the victory for the Winnipeg Jets. Blake Wheeler wraps up the goal scoring, this with 40 seconds to go.
Mr. Empty Netter himself.
Yes, exactly. His first of the season, as we discussed. Brendan Lemieux in the penalty box, hurting his team. It's just selfish kind of play that you can't take when your team is down a goal trying to equalize, and the Jets make no mistake and they put it into the yawning.
Also, did you notice? Sorry, Drew, to cut you off again. I seem to do that every 5 minutes.
That's okay.
But Scheifele on the bench, he was looking at the iPad. I'm sure you guys saw the same thing that I was seeing, and everybody in the chat or anybody who was watching the game saw that. I think Scheifele might have been. I don't know if he was calling for more, like a major or a double minor. But you could see that Scheifele wasn't happy with Lemieux just getting 2 minutes. I don't know, Dave, if you want to chime in here, but it looked like, Scheifele really wasn't happy with what Lemieux did there, even though he knew that the game was probably over at that point and that Lemieux was going to sit. I think he wanted more there.
Yeah, I mean, one thing about Brendan Lemieux, his antics are notable. And, one of my favorite things is him yelling on the bench and Dustin Byfuglien kind of going, ooh. I've got that video on my phone. Every once in a while I'll see it and I'll crack up just because if it makes Dustin Byfuglien start laughing, whatever he was saying was rather colorful, to put it mildly. So he's a hothead, and sometimes that works, sometimes it doesn't. And tonight for his team, is no coach is going to like you taking a penalty that late in the game when your team is down. So not the smartest of plays. Even you can disagree with it or not, but he tried to draw the Jets in to do something to offset it. And the Kings, even though they were shorthanded, they pulled quick, and so now it's 6 on 5. No, it's 5 on 5 with the.
They should have pulled quick in the second period
with the net empty, and they had some chances. So again, Connor Hellebuck stood on his head before Blake Wheeler put that puck into the empty net. So. What it was the end. I think he made 39 saves in total. I think they had 43 shots,
39 saves.
Yeah, so heck of an effort from Connor Hellebuck tonight, and we don't expect to see him tomorrow night when they go into Arizona, to Tempe, Arizona, I should say. But another stellar performance. And look, I think we're not going to start making grand predictions yet because, of course, it is early in the season. But Connor Hellebuck, I think, is fair to say is back to what we're used to seeing from Connor Hellebuck, and for a Jets team that needs him because they still have some growing pains from the new system. That is a very, very big thing to have.
You're absolutely right. And it's ultimately is a key factor in tonight's 6-4 Jets victory over the Los Angeles Kings. The Jets improved to 4 wins and 3 losses on the season, winning their second in a row before they head quickly over to Arizona to meet the Coyotes tomorrow in the second half of the back-to-back. We remind you, tomorrow night's post-game show, same time, right around 12:15 or so a.m. Central Time. So it'll be a quick turnaround for the Jets. It'll be a quick turnaround for us as well. Do
you have any sleeping pills I can borrow?
Can Ezzy just sleep over that night so he can just wake up and do the show on Saturday at my place?
Between you two guys, you guys can negotiate what your sleeping arrangements.
I get top bunk.
You guys can.
I got the aluminum bunk beds in the other room, Ezzy, so you're good.
There you guys go. You guys can have a sleepover. That's absolutely your business.
Could you imagine that? Hold on, sorry. Could you imagine the terror if I'm on the bottom bunk and I've got Ginsburg above me?
You're not sleeping that night.
My sister and I shared bunk beds when we were obviously. First of all,
really
I fell off the top once.
That doesn't surprise me.
Yeah. And did you hit your head? Because that would make a lot of sense. Also,
I also ate paint chips.
And number 2, I've gone to a number of drafts with Ezzy. Let me tell you something.
You
ain't sleeping. I'll never forget the 2013 draft. It was in New Jersey, but we were staying in New York. Mary Martin,
Times Square, no big deal.
Times Square, and let me tell you, not one person in that room got a wink of sleep. Well, actually, that's not true. One person did. He's right down there.
When I woke up, Richie was giving me the death stare. Like I actually thought he might kill me.
He would have been justified. I would argue.
Oh yeah. Let me tell you, folks. If you ever want, actually, let me see if I actually, this is my new phone. I'll see if I can find the audio. I'll cue it up. Let me tell you what we had to deal with.
Dave, I have the audio. I'll send it to you. Don't worry. The audio of Ezzy snoring, it's impressive, folks.
We'll cue it up. We'll cue it up.
One day we'll cue it up. Maybe not
one
tonight,
day. When we come back from break, I'm going to do that. Don't worry.
Okay, you can find it there. Let's head to break. When we come back, we're going to give you all of the your unique code word to win, to enter the contest, to win great merchandise. We'll also declare a winner from the most recent contest and touch on tomorrow night for between the Jets and the Coyotes. It's almost 1 a.m. You're already come this far. You might as well stick with us through the end. It's the Illegal Curve post-game show. It's brought to you by our friends at Betway. Dave Manouk, Ezra Ginsburg, I'm your host, Drew Mandel. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Jerry Seinfeld, Chris Rock, Jon Stewart, Dennis Miller, Brad Garrett, the biggest acts and all the up-and-comers. They've all made their mark at Rumors Comedy Club, North America's longest-running independent comedy club. Rumors has kept Winnipeg laughing for over 25 years. When was the last time you laughed out loud? Make it a great night out with friends or book your office or birthday party, even a fundraising event at Rumors. Get all the details and dates on upcoming shows at rumorscomedyclub.com.
He winds up. Oh, looks like Ezzy took that one right in the choppers.
A blistering fast puck hurts like HE double hockey sticks. That's why I let the pros at Linden Market Dental Center turn my yow into
wow.
Get your brilliant smile back with state-of-the-art restorative and cosmetic dentistry from real pros.
And remember, always wear a mouthguard.
Now that's solid on ice advice. Learn more at lindenmarketdentalcenter.com. Creating smiles for life.
Whoa, Ezzy, everything okay? You look stressed.
Of course I'm stressed. We're moving, the house is upside down, the kids failed miserably at packing the fine china, and my life is in chaos. Chaos!
Yes, that does sound like a problem.
What am I going to do?
Ezzy, relax. Rolly's Transfer Moving and Storage is the answer. With 60 years of experience in moving Manitobans and a track record of exemplary customer service, one call to Rolly's and your stress is gone. No job is too big or too small. Just visit Rollies.com and they will take it from there.
Thanks, Dave, and thank you, Rolly's Transfer Moving and Storage, online at Rollies.com.
Dave, my man, why are you in the car already? It's hours until game time.
Drew, it's because I'm stressed out right now, driving around downtown Winnipeg, looking for a parking spot, and I'm not finding one. I've lost Ginsburg. I don't even know where that guy is right now.
Dave, haven't I taught you anything? Do what I do. Pre-book your entire month's worth of game day parking with the Grid Park app. It's super easy to use and saves me both time and stress.
Well, Drew, I'm not independently wealthy like you are. So I'm sorry that I don't have millions of dollars to pre-book my parking month in advance. What's that going to cost you? $25?
How about $5?
Come on, $5? No way.
$5. I'm not telling you a lie. And our listeners can get a free park with the new special promo code Illegal Curve. Guess what? There's more.
There's more, Drew. You're lying to me. What more could there be?
Grid Park now has underground parking, so my car can stay warm during the game.
So wait a second. All the driving around I do, looking for parking, minus 40. You're telling me I could be toasty warm in a car after the hockey game?
That's exactly what I'm telling you. Underground parking. Just download the Grid Park app. That's GRYD Park and use the code Illegal Curve. All one word. You'll park for free your first time. Hi, it's Drew from Illegal Curve here. Selling your home can be stressful, but it wasn't for me. Thanks to my friends at Zappia Group Realty, they made the process so easy. My home sold within 48 hours and with multiple offers. Zappia Group Realty took care of everything with their exquisite customer service and attention to detail. If you want to sell your home for more in less time, get started by talking to Frank and Mauro Zappia of Zappia Group Realty. Online at zappiagroup.com. For 3 generations and over 80 years, Tough Duck has been making apparel that works and plays as hard as the people who wear it. From jackets to work boots and everything in between, Tough Duck's clothing can handle the harshest environments, even the Illegal Curve hockey show. Work to live, live to play. Visit toughduck.com. It is 1 a.m, Friday morning. Welcome back to the Illegal Curve post-game show. Drew Mandel, Dave Manouk, Ezra Ginsburg. Look, folks, the Winnipeg Jets social media team is now throwing shade at our friends at CTV. They tweeted after the game ended that certain folks watched the first period and declared a Kings victory. So you know that when the Jets social media team is getting in on the action, that it is certainly become, I guess, meme worthy or something along those lines. So kudos to them for throwing a little bit of shade. I wonder how their broadcast partners are going to feel about that, to their television broadcast partners, given it's the same corporation.
It's all good. I think this day and age, we need to have more of a sense of humor, right? So I like
it. Look, you don't have to tell me you need to have more of a sense of humor. I'm fine with it. I wonder how the corporate bosses at Bell Media are going to feel, but that's their problem, not ours.
I don't really care.
Yeah, that's really my philosophy.
Be honest with you.
Yeah, it's not high up on my
didn't
priority
care when they
list.
shut down our radio station, right? So why should I care about them?
You're absolutely right there, Mr. Ginsburg. I would agree with that assessment entirely. Alrighty, let's get into some of the contests. Again, to enter the Illegal Curve merchandise contest, you click the link in the show description. Where's the show description, you ask? Down below, underneath the screen. Maybe if you're watching on your phone, you have to X out of the chat, and then you'll see the show description. Click the link. It says right there about Illegal Curve merchandise contest. Just click that link. You'll quickly see how to enter the contest. If that's too complicated.
And just, Drew, hold on, just so they know, Drew, the link says Gleam, Gleam.
Yes.
IO.
That's the service we use in order to run the contests.
Correct.
So just click that link. If that's too complicated, if you don't want to close off the chat, I totally understand that. Go to illegalcurve.com. Go to the morning papers. It's, I believe, note number 2, Dave.
Not always, but on a game day, it's always going to be note 2. It's in the pregame report. It's in the afternoon links, people. There's plenty of links. It literally says, click here, you click here, and then it's going to be, like I said, you enter your name, enter your location, I think, or your ad or your birth date or whatever it is, and then you're good to go. Just make sure your email works. So I've already emailed 1 or 2 of our winners, and I had to communicate with them in other ways through Twitter or whatever. So just make sure your email works. And then once you do that, it's easy, and you can get new chances. We always change the tweets that you can retweet and stuff like that. So very easy to get new votes. And hey, when you get new votes, not only do you get a chance to win, sometimes you get me personally delivering the swag. I delivered one to our first winner, Shane. I delivered it to him. Had a nice chat with him. Brief chat, actually, because he was in the middle of something. But Shane got his jersey, his Heritage Classic. And then, of course, Timmy Debenham. I dropped his off yesterday. So you might even get me personally delivering.
Personal time with Dave M, folks. Think about it. You can't put a price tag on that. That is just absolutely invaluable. So that's how you enter the contest. One of the things you need to do in the contest to get extra bonus entries is enter a unique code. Here is tonight's unique code. Who would have guessed it?
Who would have guessed that one?
All capitals.
Should have gone with crypto.
It's Hollywood. Hollywood is the unique code for tonight's IC contest. So be sure to enter the unique code in the spot.
Mr. Original over here, Drew.
Yeah, Dave Emmett, certainly didn't put a lot of thought or a lot of originality into that one. But in any event, Hollywood is tonight's unique code for the IC contest. Enter that into the contest page. You'll get bonus entries in an attempt to win some IC merchandise like our most recent winner. A big congratulations to Scott Holmes. Scott Holmes is the most recent winner of the IC merchandise contest. Dave M, tell Scott, if he's here, or the good people who are watching and listening, what Scott has won.
What is this, a game show?
Yes, it might as well be.
What am I, Vanna White right now? Like, what? Tell him, what do you want? Well, Scott, you're very lucky tonight.
It's college week, Dave.
You won a, by the way, Kenny's water bottle just said my bank's password is password. No, it's not, Kenny, and I told you not to tell anybody what it is. Anyways, the point is Scott won some Jets merch. We probably are going to give Scott a jersey because we have so many jerseys. We're just giving them away. We're just getting rid of all these jerseys. So
we're ensconced in jerseys.
We are ensconced in velvet and in jerseys, Ezzy. So we've got some got Heritage Classic. We got the home. We got the away. We don't have the reverse retro yet. So I know some folks were trying to get us to hook them up with that. And we've got hats. We've got T-shirts. We got lots. So Scott, I'm going to be communicating with you to get you your jersey. I'm not promising personal delivery, but maybe if you're within a certain area, actually, let me tell you, like I said, for today's delivery, I went far. So I guess I am willing to
we drive to Transcona. Transcona, we for sure drive to.
Oh, I drive to. If I get a chance to just mention the Whistle Pig to Ezzy at some point in the day of our communication, I'm taking that chance.
We got people in Transcona, right, Dave?
We do.
The idea of, and Whistle Pig makes Ezzy very happy, so you're absolutely right about that. We have more stuff to give away. Our friends at Tough Duck, the hardest hitting comment, Mr. Ginsburg, who is the winner of the hardest hitting comment and a toque from our friends at Tough Duck.
We're going to give it to Dark Moon. The comment, you got the comment up there, Drew. It was from about 16 minutes ago. They seem to be a different team already from last season. They seem to have a lot more life in them and play a full, solid hockey game. Bones is getting through to them. You can see it on ice. Can you guys imagine what the emotions Rick Bowness was going through?
No, I can't.
Watching this game. I think he's still in Winnipeg. I don't think he went on the road trip.
He did. In Winnipeg.
So he's watching the game at home. The Jets are down 3-1. Should be probably down 5-1. And then they obviously, take the lead into the third period, and then the Kings tie it up, but they still pull it out and get the 6-4 win. So Dark Moon, send me an email, Ezra@illegalcurve.com, or you can slide into my DMs on Twitter @ICSEG. And Tough Duck's going to send you out a toque. And even though it was nice out today, and it's going to be nice out this weekend, it's going to get a lot colder next week. Saw a couple people in the chat have already received their toques, which is just awesome. Tough Duck ships them out right away. So yeah, congratulations to Dark Moon. I don't think that's his real name or her real name.
Yes, congratulations.
Maybe it is. I mean, Moon Unit Zappa was Frank Zappa's kid. Remember that?
I mean, I never met Moon Unit, but I do remember
Moon
that.
Unit Zappa. Dave knows what I'm talking about.
Not a clue.
Frank Zappa, not Frank Zappia.
I thought you were talking about Frank Zappia, and I was like, well, I know Frank.
What was the other kid's name? Dweezil.
I didn't know the first kid's name.
I tell you what, Ezzy, the fact you're pulling this out at 10 after 1 in the morning
Zappa and Moon Unit Zappa. Look it up.
Okay. I mean, Ezzy, that's impressive. Dark Moon, you email Ezra@illegalcurve.com, or you can slide into his DMs @ICSEG, and he'll make sure that you get hooked up with your Tough Duck.
Drew, it's by the way, it's 1:07 in the morning. So I have absolutely, like, my mouth is just moving and words are coming out. Like, I don't even know, like, what I'm saying right now.
Dave, we're going to be live on location in a little more than a week. Where are we going to be?
We are going to be at the Winnipeg Ice Fishing Show on November 5th. Now, the show is actually November 5th and 6th at Red River X Place. And there's going to be tons of things to do. The cost to enter is $10 for adults. Children 12 and under get in for free. There's speakers, there's contests, there's great things you can look at the ice fishing gear. They're going to have the huts. They're going to have the lures. They're going to have absolutely everything for ice fishing aficionados, which I am not an aficionado, but I do like ice fishing. I tried it a couple times in Thunder Bay. Have I tried it in Winnipeg? I think I've tried it maybe once in Lake Winnipeg, but I haven't been huge into ice fishing. As most folks know, I'm more of a summertime fisherman, but I'm willing to give it a shot. And like I said, I enjoy watching a lot of the Manitoba guys who do it, the Clayton Schicks, the Aaron Weebs, uncut angling, and Jay Siemens, Kenora kid, but he, of course, does a lot of fishing here in Manitoba. So those guys, Jay Siemens and Clayton Schick, I believe, will be on location, and there'll be a lot of workshops and stuff like that. So if you're into ice fishing, or if you just want to come down and meet Illegal Curve, come down and say hello. We're going to have some tickets to give away probably next week. But yeah, it'll be a lot of fun. November 5th and 6th, Red River X Place. Join us. And if you want more information, go on illegalcurve.com, and we have links to the fishing show, and it'll give you more information.
Excellent. Well done there, Mr. Manouk. It's 10 after 1 in the morning. We have to say thank you to all of you who are still with us doing this. I mean, I did not know what the attendance was going to be like, because it is really into the wee hours, but it's just so gratifying to see so many of you sticking with us on these late night shows. They make staying up this late and doing the show so terrific. So thank you to everyone for joining us. Dark Moon, I see you're asking for the info again. Ezra@illegalcurve.com.
I'll text it to him.
Okay, Dave will put the message in there so you can follow it along to get
We'll get you that toque.
To get that toque from our friends at Tough Duck. Want to say a big thank you to all the sponsors of Illegal Curve who make the post-game show, the Saturday show, which is somehow tomorrow now, and the website a possibility. Rumors Restaurant and Comedy Club. And let me tell you, folks, one of my favorites is at Rumors this week, Daryl Lennox. Daryl is one of the all-time greats to come through Rumors. If you're looking for something to do, either tomorrow night there's 2 shows, or Saturday night there's 2 shows, get tickets to see Daryl Lennox. You will not regret it. rumorscomedyclub.com.
Maybe I'll go tomorrow night.
There you go. You can do that before. You can go do that. You can go to the early show tomorrow and then get home in time for the late game, or you can even go to the late show and then get home in time for the post game show. So lots of different options available for anybody who wants to go check out Daryl Lennox. I do highly recommend it there. Linden Market Dental Center, Zappia Group Realty, Betway, of course, they're the title sponsor of the Illegal Curve post game show. Tough Duck, we just gave away a toque to Dark Moon. Congratulations, hardest hitting comment. We'll do another one of those tomorrow night. Boston Pizza, Seagram's, Rolly's Transfer, Grid Park. Be sure to download the Grid Park app. That way you'll be able to enter in the information, get that first park free with promo code Illegal Curve, all one word. And our friends at the Keg support these fine businesses because of their continued support of Illegal Curve hockey.
I was at Boston Pizza last night, Drew.
Oh, there you go. Yes, you were.
I went for Evan Duncan's victory party.
Yes, exactly. Congratulations to Evan Duncan. He's the new city councilor for Charleswood and
Big win.
Tuxedo.
And Westwood. Don't forget Westwood.
Sorry. Yes. Yeah. And of course, Evan, for those who don't know, in addition to his professional career, working for Manitoba Justice, I believe, is also the PA announcer for the Manitoba Moose.
Which is how I got to know him.
Which is how Dave has got to know him. So Dave exactly was at the victory party there last night. A big thank you to everybody for joining us. Like I said, we're going to be back at it tomorrow at, hang on. Today's Friday, so the post-game show is actually going to begin Saturday morning, right around 12:15 a.m., give or take. I'm so confused as to what day or what time it actually is. But join us tomorrow after the Jets and the Coyotes. We're going to do this again, and then we're going to do it again Saturday morning at 9 a.m. with the Illegal Curve Hockey Show. So plenty of Illegal Curve content coming your way. If you haven't already done so, smash the like button. Leave us some comments on the YouTube chat. We definitely love that. Leave us some comments and some reviews wherever you download the podcast. Maybe you download it on Apple, maybe you download it on Google, maybe you download it on Spotify. Wherever you do download the podcast, rate us, review us, leave us some feedback there. We always appreciate hearing from everyone about what they like and what they dislike, as long as it's constructive criticism. Ezzy is saying, boy, that host sucks, doesn't help anybody. We know his opinion on this matter. It doesn't need to be reiterated. In any event, thank you to so many of you for joining us. We'll do it all again tomorrow morning, Saturday morning, whatever day of the week it is. I don't even know anymore. Dave Manuke's in the top right, Ezra Ginsburg's in the bottom middle. I'm your host, Drew Mindell. Until 12:15 or so on Saturday morning, we wish you good night and good luck, and thanks for watching the Illegal Curve post-game show.